In this video, I'll walk you through 6 advanced ideas to implement to give you deeper customer insights and more actionable data in GA4. I've been a web analytics specialist for the last 8 years, and I've helped businesses to implement these advanced GA4 features to gain serious competitive advantage. Hello data people, I'm Robert from Clicks.ly, and I'm here to help you understand and analyze data to make better decisions in e-commerce. Let's start now by going to the GA4 dashboard. So by default, when you go to your GA4 and you look at the visited pages, you'll see something like that. You have the page names. So you have homepage here. This is some sort of a sales page. These are blog pages. And then you have products and so on. But wouldn't it be nice that you're able to actually see them as one group? So for example, all the product pages together, what's the revenue for product pages, same with blogs. But that's the thing, it's actually possible, and you need to use content groups. Content groups just group the page types. So for example, you could create a group for product pages, for category pages, sales pages, blog, or if you have a lot of different blog posts that are in different topic, you could give them all different names, and that way you can compare what topic is working for you, what's driving revenue, and what's bringing sessions. The cool thing is it's quite easy to install content groups. You just need to tell your developer or install yourself in Google Tag Manager that if it's a product page, then you need to group it as product page. And this is basically how it looks like. You see it on the screen. This is the code snippet you need, and then in Google Tag Manager you could include it every time there's a page visit. So you could include this group, but you need to tag every page type with the name. It won't do it automatically. By the way, you don't need to write down any of these ideas that I'm going to give you, because I prepared a cheat sheet where you can see either how to directly implement these ideas or links to tutorials on how to do it. You can grab the cheat sheet. It's the first link in the video description. The next one, a lot of people don't know about it, but it's kind of by default there. You just need to enable it. So if you have e-commerce and you go through your shipping page, you entered your shipping details, and then you usually ask for payment method. So when you ask for that payment method and the user selects it, you fire this event. And basically this payment type is a mandatory field that pretty much, if you have e-commerce installed, should be there. Now, I don't know if your developer or whenever you installed it actually included correct details. So maybe it's just, empty value or something like that, but you can update it. And if you do this, you just need to register the payment method in the admin dashboard. So you go to admin, then events, and then you have here events. If you register this event, then you can see the details here. So why is it great? Because you'll be able to see payment methods like this, and also the completion rates. So basically conversion rates from the payment method to a thank you page, which is usually where you fire the event for purchase. The cool thing is if you implement this, you'll see differences between payment methods. So for example, for this shop, PayPal Express is performing much worse than Apple Pay. And there's a quite big difference. This could mean that you could prioritize Apple Pay over PayPal Express whenever it's possible, and bank transfers, maybe you need to even remove that option because it's performing really bad. So it gives you more insight. And on top of that, if you implement this payment method type, you'll be able to utilize the next method, which is this is the situation. Let's say this is the graph for conversion rate for Apple Pay. So it's hovering around that 90% there, and then one day it just drops, and you don't know it until maybe here a week or two later. That's when you discover, your colleague discovers it by accident. Wouldn't it be nice to know it when it drops already here, so that you get some sort of a alert when it happens? Well, you kind of can do that in GA4, but you need some help from Google Sheets and also plugins. So let me explain how it works. Whenever it detects that there's a drop in the conversion rate, and it doesn't need to be payment method. It can be also overall conversion rate. It can be conversion rate for desktop versus mobile. It can be any metric actually. If you have lower sessions or nobody is visiting your sales page, you can set up that. It doesn't matter what it is. The important thing is that you have to import the data to Google Sheets, and you can use a plugin for that, and then set that to automate it, that it does it every hour, maybe every day. It really depends on what you're setting up. And then you can add a little bit of script, and just send yourself an email whenever, one of these values is under 85%, for example. When it's under 85, then it'll send you automatic email and you get something like this where, you can just alert yourself that, hey, something's going on and go check it out. And here's, a link to the GA4 report that you can see it. This way, you don't need to monitor yourself and you can be assured that if anything happens, you'll know about it very quickly. Now, the thing is, in GA4, you can actually set alerts, and it's called custom insights. And from here, you can see custom insights that you automatically monitor performance of your property. So you can select the metric and then it will monitor that. So for example, from here, we could select something like, I don't know what is this, entrances or sessions or something like that. For example, page views here. And then it would look at that either has anomaly, or we can also set how many, some value here. However, this is just not enough. If you're tracking revenue, that's not possible. You have product revenue here, but that's not the same. You have things like transactions, which is good, but usually you want to look at conversion rate. You want to look maybe at your total revenue. And also you want to look at conversion rate, not only in overall, but you want to look specifically, because a dip in Apple payments, you're not going to notice it in the overall number. But when they are separated, that's where you start discovering those issues. So this is just not enough. You can segment here, but they are very, very limited here what you can select. So that's why you just need to use Google Sheets, because you're going to get so much more data and the alerts are just better. Now for the next one, imagine you have a new homepage and you have buttons, you have banners, you have, different sections people can go to. How would you know where people click on this page? It's kind of hard to know by just looking at links and stuff. Well, that's where click tracking comes in. You can set events whenever somebody clicks on a button, link, or uses your image carousel. It doesn't really matter what the action is, as long as it's a click or a swipe or something like that you can detect. And then what you can do is you can start tracking all that. So for example, I have here, this is homepage clicks, but you could set it up for any page. Could be product pages, could be category pages, could be your checkout. For this homepage, you can see we have clicks on navigation, hero banner, category slider, video play, article teasers, and so on. What's cool about it, because GA4 allows you to add multiple parameters. What you could do is, okay, so the event action in this case is category slider, but you can add more event parameters. And let's say the category slider also has a button and a link and maybe some arrows that you can slide between the categories. You could detect which one has been clicked, and then you can just filter by category slider, and then you will see the details about each of those button and link. And that way you just gain so much insights, especially if you run A/B tests or something. This is really useful because you can compare how people click in the control and how they click in the your new variation. This is probably one of those features that I use the most once you implement it, and it's so useful to see how people click around your website and your pages. Now for the next one, in GA4, it's quite easy to track what people search. However, what if you search for things, let's say happy socks here? If you search for something that doesn't have result, it would be kind of nice to know this, right? Because if, for example, maybe you have other types of socks, you could suggest them here instead of having no results. It's better to have something that is close than having nothing. Well, the cool thing is you can do this in GA4. And once you implement this, you'll be able to see all the queries that people search for, but your website doesn't have result. So for example, here's the happy socks, and then there's other things that you might not be able to do anything about. But let's say you could say, hey, people are searching for happy socks, so maybe we can add that to our assortment, or maybe we just provide them some alternatives. So this can kind of tell you also the trends that people are looking on your website. Maybe you're selling some sort of supplements or food, and you'll notice that a lot of people search for vegan, but then they get 0 results. And it's not a nice user experience if that happened. Okay, the last method is just so versatile. You can do pretty much anything, but I'll give you a few different options that you can consider here, so just to get your creative juices rolling, because what you can do is utilize custom dimensions. In custom dimensions, you could, for example, track if the person is logged in or not. and then you can compare the two groups with each other in the data. You could also set up something like what type of a customer this person is once they purchase something. So on the purchase page, you would send this custom dimension to GA4 and say, is it a first time purchaser, recurring, or VIP? And again, you can then compare the different groups. You can also store numbers. For example, you could say, okay, how many product pages a person saw before they bought? This way you'll know, okay, people on average look at 3.5 pages and then they buy something. So that means we need to encourage maybe people to compare the products to each other. And the number can work with anything as well. Then you also could, if you have a lot of different blog posts or articles, you could also track the author. So then you can compare the different authors to each other and how well those pages generate revenue. Or you could just track by topic, and that way, again, you can compare different topics to each other. Then you can also track the A/B test variation. So you can compare then control versus your new page, so variation 1 or 2. And you can also track something like customer ID if you know it. And as soon as you know customer ID, you can provide customized experience to these people. Then you can also monitor the product discount impact, and this just means you'll have different kind of groups for 10%, 25%, gift with purchase, and that way again you'll see how effective those different discounts are. And if you want to, you can also track users who abandon the cart and then return, or you could track what products they have when they abandon. There's just so limitless possibilities here. Then we have customer lifetime value. So this would require, your developer to set up some sort of connection with your backend. If you use Shopify, you would need to just query Shopify and say, hey, this customer, how many times they bought, what's the total amount, and then you could save that into the GA4, or you can send that to GA4, and that way, again, you can compare the data there. As you can see, custom dimensions are very versatile. Really, your imagination is the limit. I would use them as much as possible. And custom dimensions are quite easy to set up. You do need some code changes. You need to update the data layer and have that information available in data layer. So then Google Tag Manager can take that data and send it to Google Analytics 4. But other than that, it's actually quite straightforward once you figure out what you need. Now you know advanced tracking ideas you can implement it for GA4, but it's default reports that are full of metrics and dimensions you don't need, and using them will just waste your time. That's why you should watch this video here to learn the most useful reports in GA4 specifically for e-commerce.